Um, I started I started off in the industry as a producer and director. So,
Okay.
and I did that for about 6, 7 years or so.
Okay.
And I was working in the Bay Area, working on industrial films and companies. That they were hiring me as a photographer,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera. And so we were bringing people in to audition. And as we're breaking down one night, as we're breaking down at 11, 12 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
and then have to get up at 5 o'clock the next morning in order to do it all over again, I'm thinking, we're bringing in actors. They're coming in, they're auditioning, they're bringing them in for a certain amount of time and then say goodbye. It was nice to be with you today.
Right.
I said, that's where I want to be. That's kind of where I said, this other side is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's rewarding. But at the same time, I'm thinking the actors are coming in, and they're working hard too. But it's a whole different dynamic. Acting is a completely different dynamic.
Right.
So when I saw that, I go, that's what I want to be doing. I'd rather be acting for a little while, because I did the directing and producing for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was time to make a switch.
So when was this?
Oh my gosh, that's 15 years ago. Yeah. So 15 years ago, again, I was already doing producing and directing, editing, etc. And when I was doing that, I thought, okay. And at the time, I was married at the time, like I was talking to you about before. But I said, I want to try this acting thing. I want to see,
where you can go.
See what this is like. Yeah. So I did that, and then this was at the time my supportive wife at that point was like, okay, I'll be your manager, and we'll do it. So she made the contact. She made contacts with producers and directors and people who were making the castings.
Yeah.
And I was working. I was working 2-3 jobs a week.
Yeah.
And coming home thinking, life is amazing.
You were like, I've got it.
I
good.
love this. And my wife at the time, we have 3 children, and she was going, she says, I'm poop. She said, this is hard work.
Yeah.
And then my son will tell me the same thing. He'll say, says, why don't you go back to the directing? And that's still a passion that's still there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the challenge is the acting. The challenge is like, there's something that needs to be fulfilled, So the acting is why I'm staying with that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I'm good at it,
I think you're good.
Yeah. But we're always working at it,
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing with any craft is that you really feel that you have something to share.
Yeah.
It's not just like, a job to make money,
Right.
because my dad is an accountant and I can't imagine being an accountant. It's just, it's a different world.
Yeah.
It's like, because I need to be creating every day.
Yeah.
In some respect. And it drives me nuts when I'm sort of in a setting where I'm not able to do as much as I want to be doing. And that's why I'm so glad to be out of school, because I can really, really bolster my creative drive.
Right.
Because I was making things in school, of course, because I was in film school, but because it was in the constraints of the program, it wasn't, as as free form as I wanted it to be. But we were learning. But nevertheless, now that I'm out of school, and I have been for a while, almost 2 years now, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to make my mark.
Now, exactly. That's what I think school is a great way to network, and it's a great way to meet people
That's really
to do all that.
That's really the big thing is to network, because when you say, I want to be a filmmaker, or for you, I want to be an actor, it's like, okay, now stepping stones, please.
Yeah, what comes next? What comes after this?
Right.
And then, and the networking part, we were talking about that before. The networking part is the part that you are going into. My friends in LA are constantly, networking, and whether it's through events, parties, etc., whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Everything is a network.
Everything
is a network.
Yeah.
And they ask you, what are you doing up here in Northern? So, well, I'm working. and they're still networking, even though I think the work is about even from Southern California, Northern California.
Yeah, okay.
So there's more opportunity, I think, in Southern California, because you've got more of a larger network. But you've got this big pool of the same people wanting to do the same thing.
Right, yeah.
We have a great opportunity here.
Yeah, we do. And I have a friend who used to work in LA as an editor for trailers.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I want to go down there eventually. He's like, stay where you are for right now. Trust me, you're okay. He's like, you have it so good.
I know. I know. You do.
Yeah,
actually,
I do.
You do.
So what's your schooling background? Did you go to school at all for acting?
I did. Well, no, not for acting. I went for producing and directing. That's what I did for television.
Okay.
And which was really great. I mean, it was good. There's nothing like walking into a studio. You know this. You walk into a studio every day. Boom, there it is. You're working with the lights. You're working with a tremendous talent of people all the time, every single time. And I think back at that point, and I'm thinking, wow, there was nothing greater than my stamina was up. Obviously, I was younger at the time too, but at the same time, it was like, no matter how tired I was, when you walk into the studio, boom, you're on. It's just like
it's immediate.
It's a different energy.
Yeah.
And I lived in the studio all through college. I lived in the studio.
Okay. And
never saw the daylight.
Right.
So it would be snowy,
That's
whatever
it
is. It's like, doesn't matter. I'm in a studio. It's all great. You know, we had amazing people coming into the studio. We did talk shows and just news programs, talk shows, or whatever it was. But we had celebrities coming in all the time, and it was just like, this is pretty normal.
And in your experience, just what have you learned from your career thus far? Highs and lows.
The highs are whatever it is that you're doing is good at the time.
Yeah.
Those are the highs, right? I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
The lows are, I could always do better.
Right. That
I could always do better. I want to do one step more.
That for me too is a big thing, is that I want to be proud of everything that I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, really feel like I did my all, and then look back on it and say, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
And then you think to yourself, how could I be better still, you know, with everything?
And the nice thing is, this is history, because you're making history right now. I mean, no matter what you're doing, it's all recorded on film. Everything that you do is recorded, taped.
Yeah.
You could be long gone, but your mark is going to be left behind.
We've made it a point to record our lives.
That's
in a sense.
And this is not a reality show. It's not a reality thing. It is the art part of it. That this is your recording. This is your history book in the making.
Right. So when you came on to Little Haven, because I think that was through SF Casting, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So where were you at that point in your acting?
Oh my goodness.
Because that was a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. I know that I was working on a television show at the time.
Okay.
There's a couple television shows that I was working on actually, and then from that point that came up, and I thought, should I do this? Can I do this? You know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a different role for me.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'll just try. I'll just do the audition just because I just wanted to play and do the audition.
I remember I was there recording it. and little fun fact, not to freak you out, but I still have that audition on my phone.
So we don't want to go with that.
I still have that on my phone, and I was like, oh, this is still on here. Little flashback.
I think, the script was funny.
Yeah,
the script was funny, and it's really. I mean, few times that you get to, whenever you go in, and you do a show or whatever, you read the script and you go, oh, this is okay. You know, it's
serviceable.
Okay. Yeah, but that script was like every time there was laughs every single time. Every time it got read.
Yeah,
it was like,
and I actually had to leave because I didn't want to laugh a couple times. When Ricky was doing his part, I was like, I have to leave.
It is funny.
I can't.
It's so funny.
I'm like, it's okay. It's a compliment, Ricky. Yeah.
So that was the key. I think that's I think I can do this. I want to do this.
So when you decided to, pursue acting seriously, what was your long-term plan? Did you know I want to do these kind of projects? I want to do comedy, drama. What was your game plan?
Mine fell into comedy, not by choice, because I was going more towards the drama end of it.
Okay.
Because that's what I thought where I was going. But I get cast comedy, and because I do silly, dumb things all the time, not by purpose. I just do them, and it's just comic, comedic, I should say. Yeah. I was with we were working on Nicole Kidman, and I was working on Hemingway and Gellhorn. And so we're all in the front room, we're sitting there, and it's a very serious thing. And I'm the cameraman and the sound person, and as we're getting in, packing things up, I put the cords up behind me, and I'm walking out of the room, and everyone starts laughing, and I thought, something's going on. I don't know what's going on. I go, just keep playing the role. And I realized that I wrapped the cord around the chair behind me, and as I'm walking out of the room, the chair is walking with me.
Okay.
And Nicole Kidman she just burst out laughing, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then she came back, we talked about it, and the director's laughing, everybody is. I was like, that was so funny, but obviously they didn't keep that.
Okay.
But it just happened, and things happen, and so.
So you have this innate sensibility with making people laugh.
It just happens.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing.
It is a great thing.
Because when you can just have that natural ability, and you're not desperately trying to get a laugh.
Not trying.
Yeah. It just happens.
I'm really not trying.
Yeah. Well, I think that's for the better,
Yeah.
Because when it just happens naturally, it's a really amazing thing.
Yeah. So the play that we were talking about previously too, it is good, and it's to help people, make them happy and laugh and whatever, and have fun. So, and I think that's why I was cast in the play again. This is the third year that we did the play, and so it turned out great. The play, like I said, it was very profitable, but at the same time, if you just be who you are. Just be who you are and just have fun with it.
Well, the greatest gift that you can give to the world is yourself.
Yeah.
So who are your heroes in terms of acting?
Wow, we were just talking about it. One is Robert Downey Jr. And he's one of my favorites. Extremely good. He's so versatile. He can play anything, and just mesmerized by who he is.
And when did you meet him?
We were on the set in San Francisco. We were doing it was one of those serial killer movies, and I can't remember the name of the movie offhand, but that's when we were doing that. And then another person that I admired was, and still admire, is Michael J. Fox. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So
Marty McFly.
Yeah, hi, Marty. He's a very, very great. He's got a great story. I think that's really why I liked him, and I followed his show Family Ties. I even wrote for Family Ties, and
really,
I kept submitting my scripts to them and things like that, and I could watch the TV show. And when you're really hooked on something, you watch something and you go, I know the next line, and that's how tied I was with, no pun, but that's Family Ties. That's the connection that we had. Then I got to work with him on Casualties of War, and then actually meet him, and then.
What was that
nice.
like?
It was great. He was young. Michael was young. He was at the height of his career. Yeah. And I think he's doing some great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Jason Bateman is the other one that I would have to tell you. I love
him.
It's incredible. And he's really coming into himself, coming into who he is, and it's really nice to watch that.
What surprised me was when I remember seeing the trailer for Disconnect. And I was shocked because I'm like, you're a comedy guy. What are you doing?
Yes.
And then I went to see it, and I was like, I bow before you. I was like, you are so goddamn talented. And then he's directing as well, with Ozark, and I just thought, oh my God.
Yeah, I think he's coming into himself, where he's found himself, and he's humble about it. And I think he's really great to watch.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching him. He is immensely talented.
Yeah.
And so for you, I know that you've said that you act and then you produce and directed it before. So is that something that you want to juggle, like producing, directing, and acting?
Yeah, because the directing part is still going to always be there. I'm working with actually somebody right now who is working on we're working on a film. It's a Western, actually.
Okay.
So it's not it might be a comedy.
We're not sure.
I'm not sure yet. We'll see
how
it is.
We'll decide when it's done.
We did our promo pictures, and the promo pictures came out really good. And I thought, well, this is really cool. It's just a different direction to go into,
Yeah.
So, but I have directed before, and we've done some commercials locally here, and I just have a gift to be able to do that. But yet at the same time, the acting is always going to be the strongest part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, always the strongest side of it.
Yeah, okay.
I want to stick with that.
And for you, because there's always something special about it per the person, so what is it about acting that speaks to you?
Everybody thinks that when you're acting that it's like, oh, you want that recognition, you want to be able to... No, what I think about acting for me personally, I've been asked this a lot of times, is that it's a self-fulfillment thing. Okay. It's because did I get to that level where I want to be? Yeah. To be able to act and say that this was really good for me. Now, it doesn't have to be good for anybody else. I hate to say that. But at the same time, but if I look at something and go, wow, I'm actually moved. That moved me. So if I can say that, I said, I think, I caught that. Yeah. And I feel good about that. Yeah. And if it moves somebody else, kudos. That's even better, right?
Yeah, for sure. And do you want to inspire people to go into acting?
Always, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm writing a book. Oh boy, a book.
Well, hey.
Who's not writing a book?
I'm not. I write every day, but not a book.
You see, one day you're going to come out and say, you know what, all this information I have after all these years, I'm going to write a book.
Well, I think for me, like a book, I would want to put it into video format because, I don't know, that just to me would feel more fulfilling. Because when I write something, I want to by default make it into a video. Right. Because that makes me feel so much more fulfilled personally.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I love reading. It's like a great book is fantastic. I'm reading a book right now, The Devil in the White City, and I love it.
Okay.
And I'm reading it because it's going to be turned into a series involving Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio. Oh, wow. And so I read that and was like, okay, gotta read it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But so what's the book about?
Well, the book is about acting, pretty much people who want to get into the acting business. So, okay. And as with many other actors, I do teach school. So, and all the time that I do teach school, and at the time if I'm in a commercial or I'm doing, say, oh, we saw you, I'd love to get into this business. How do you get into this business? Yeah. The first, there are certain steps in getting into the business. Right. So, and then every book that I've read has those steps, but I've got to have something with, like, in a sense, pictures. I want a description, diagram, description, whatever, make it easy to follow what those steps are. So I mentor a lot of people right now. Okay. Actually, who want to go into that and say, okay, this is what you need to do. These are start steps, next step. And then when they get to a level, they go, okay, I got to let you go. Yeah. You're on your own.
That's the hard part. It's like, now it's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. You really want this? I mean, you don't do it for them. Right. Right? You don't do anything for them. But when they get to that point, and you know that they got to that point, and all of a sudden they start getting the calls and things like that. And I worked as an agent for a while, by the way. So I worked for an agent for a couple of people. And it's just like, okay, you're well on your way. Yeah. You don't need me right now, so you need to
And
move
how
forward.
did you get involved in that?
I just had some friends that really wanted to get in the business. Okay. And I said, okay.
I'll do my best.
I'll do my best. I'll make some calls, and I'll work as your agent. Yeah. Well, at that point, I was making contact with agents that I couldn't even get a hold of. Yeah. So agents were calling me at that point. Directors were calling me. Yeah. And when they were calling me and saying, we want so-and-so to be on the set, can we get him to audition? Can we get him to audition? Absolutely. So I was on the phone a lot. Yeah. And so when the kids, basically they were kids, would go to the auditions and do it, great. They had to do that on their own. Yeah. And then after a while, once again, it depends on how serious you really want something, right? So at that point, it was just, I was prodding them along. It was just like, I can't be doing this for you. You have to really want this for yourself. Right. Otherwise, I'm just, like somebody says, oh, here's a job, here's your job, here's your job. No. Right. I just didn't want to do that.
Okay. So how long did you do that for?
About 2 years.
Okay. And then after 2 years, you were fed up?
Yeah, I was done.
Burned out?
I was pretty much done. I thought, there's a lot of people who want to do stuff, but they want you to do it for them. They don't want to do it for themselves.
Right, and that's the really hard part, you know, because unfortunately, not everyone has that, and they lose out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I love the business. I mean, I do. I love the business, but and everybody who wants to be in the business, they always say, I want it. Can you get me on the set? Can you? So this book, basically, it's just taking you from baby steps on through the process of how to get it.
Okay.
And I have some contacts, and I hope this is okay to say this, but Judy Carter is a comedy coach in Los Angeles, and I have yet to make contact with her, but I did take a course through her, with her. And she's amazing, absolutely amazing. She coaches people on sitcoms, from sitcom TV shows,
oh, wow.
to help them with their comedy timing in their shows.
Yeah.
So, and she's a great resource, such a great talent, And so I've met a lot of people. I know a lot of people. So I can connect them to the right direction, where to go.
Yeah, and then it's about, okay, what do you want to do for yourself?
That's really all it's about.
Because that's the hard part. Because when I was in school, we had classes that were designed to get us actively into the rhythm of writing things up for ourselves, getting the materials ready so that we could go out there. And like I made 2 reels in school, and I remember actually just today I was talking to one of my best friends, and he was saying how he had, like, his girlfriend could represent me, and he was like, so do you have reels? And I'm like, I have 2. And I was like, I don't even know if they're decent. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what is a good reel. I'm just like, I look up reels and I'm like, okay, is that a good reel? I have no idea.
That's right.
And I'm like, I need someone to tell me, no, this is complete shit. What were you thinking? I'm like, I need that.
That's what you need.
I'm like,
exactly.
I need that person where I'm like,
need.
no, Kevin, you're good, but this is not serving you. I'm just kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And the reason I mentioned Judy Carter is because she when you take her class, she's brought many people to tears in her class because she's so honest with them.
Yeah.
And she's telling them basically, I'm not doing this because I don't like you. I'm doing this because this is reality. This is what you need to hear.
Right. And sometimes reality can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It can hurt.
And the people who can break through that,
yeah.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I try to do in my own work, and what you have done in your own work.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think back on the films that you've made and all the other miscellaneous projects, like, what to you stands out as like, this was me at my prime?
My prime is now.
I like the answer. I like the answer.
It is now. It is. I don't know why I have to say that, because I guess I'm saying that because it's taken me this long to figure it out. And I'm probably still going to figure things out later on.
Yeah.
I have to,
Well, there are things that I realize now that I'm like, why couldn't I have known this 10 years ago? And I'm like, because you weren't ready yet.
Right.
And I'm like, bullshit.
That's right.
Because I want all of it now, and I'm sure that you did too.
You do.
Knowing what you, because being how old you are, you still have a lifetime ahead of you, in a sense, to get more stuff out there and to really give all that you can, but you've done all this work so that you can now be that person.
Yeah, and it's taken, some of us, it takes longer for me.
That's okay. It's hard.
It just takes me longer to learn it.
But we get through it.
And you go through all the hoops when you're working with directors, and I always tell people, if they want to get into film or whatever, do some extra work or just volunteer to go on a set, just to work, to kind of get used to it.
You can
and
never
if you
do
get yelled
enough.
at, just figure it out. That's this is kind of what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. And how many credits do you have to your name? Do you know?
Oh my gosh. My resume takes up a couple of pages right now.
Okay.
So
because I was telling you, I went onto your IMDb and I was like, what the hell?
There's
so nothing
sad. That
here.
is so sad.
And I was like, what's going on here, man?
I'm not connected with the internet very well. when they talk about, oh, what do you need to do to promote yourself? Well, I have all of these things that I could put up there now. So I think my commitment to you after today is that I'm going on, updating IMDb, putting all those things up there.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of things that do need to go on there now and can be put up there. So
well, the one thing that I saw on there, which I wanted to ask you about because I was super curious, was the interviewer.
Oh, yeah.
That project, is it a feature?
No, it was a San Francisco Film Festival project that was done, and it did well.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear
that. Yeah, and again, that was comedy.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was comedy. I didn't. We talked about this because when you're sitting in a room, and the audience is watching a film that you've made or you're in. You're sitting there with your arms folded, and I had my friend, and we're watching the interview, and we're going, okay, my part's coming up, my part's coming up, my part's coming up. And I'm just like sinking into my seat, and the audience is just hysterically laughing. And I thought, okay, what's going on? Was that the funny part? Was that the funny part of it? I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was going to be that way. So, the interview was a great director. He's done quite a few films, but again, what I'm working with another person. Her name is Vida Missler. She's also a director, writer, and she's writing this so-called Western right now. Yeah, that we're involved in, and that's really a lot of fun. She, you kind of trust your director or the person who's working with you, and go, okay, I see you in this role or doing this kind of thing. So I'm trusting that this is the direction to go into. Yeah. And we're getting good feedback, by the way, right now for
That's good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, you need feedback. As hard as it can be, because you get to the point where you think, am I delusional? Is this working?
Exactly.
Because you're working your ass off and you're like thinking, I think this is good, but what does anybody else think? And then you put it out there and you're like, play it. Nobody knows. Okay, and then you go, what did you think?
Give it to honest people. Give your work to honest people. But don't alter your life or your everything to meet, because otherwise you're going to be meeting everybody's expectations, and you don't want that either. But at the same time, if you get, it's like when someone does their headshots. I go, take 3 headshots, right?
Okay.
And take it to the people that you know are the most honest people ever, and tell them what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And if you think that this one doesn't work, but everybody's pointing to this one, guess what?
Yeah.
That's the one you go with.
And have you been surprised with the reactions with your own?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So when you got your headshots, what was that process like, and how did it feel for you?
I felt like it was out of character for me. A lot of times I said, oh no, this is, no, this is you. And so we did the Western shots, right? We did the Western headshots. And I thought, this is so out of character for me. But then again, after those were done, it was just like, wow. I mean, I've had contacts from directors, filmmakers, producers, etc. say, who are you? Who are you? Yeah. Now that's interesting, because I thought, I'm not in that, that's not me. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because we're typecast in our whole lives. I think we're all typecast. Oh yeah. Yeah. They look at you and go, oh, you're the dad, or you're the doctor, or you're the funny guy, see that, whatever.
You're the guy that we need for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you make us laugh, you make us cry.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And you can ask any actor right now, I think, and say, what is, did you ever see yourself playing this role? Never. You're the funny guy, or you're the straight guy, whatever, the serious guy, whatever. And they would say, I never imagined myself playing that role, but.
So then in that respect, when because I know that you've mentioned that, comedy was your thing, is your thing. But was there any role that someone said, oh, you'd be perfect for this, like right off the bat?
Yes, many times, yeah.
What was it?
I was, in auditions alone, I go in for this audition as a doctor. No. We want you as the dad. The dad is a funny guy in this one. Yeah. We're going to switch it. We're going to switch it. That's a good sign, though. That's a really good sign. Yeah. When it happens.
Yeah. And was there ever a role that you were like, I was good for that, but they said no?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure I've been on so many auditions lately. It's just like I would think that I'm going in for what I think I should be going in for. A lot of Google. You know, I was going in for a Google thing one time, and they thought I was going in for one role, but they switched it right at. That's the worst thing to do on an audition. Here's your paper. You know, you know what? We want you to play this role instead. So they give me another paper. Take a second. Okay, you ready? Yeah, I guess. Here we go. Let's do it. You know, so that happens a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to flow with it. I'm taking an acting course right now. Actually, I'm in contact with it. His name is Robert Wineapple in San Francisco.
Okay.
Amazing. Kudos to him too. He's great.
Yeah.
Honest, and I think he's a great coach.
What does he give you?
Gives you honesty. He gives you what he thinks that you're good in. So if you have trouble with like being serious or being authoritative or whatever it is, those are the scenes, the roles that he wants you to work on. And if it's comedy that works for you and you want to up your comedy, things like that, it works on timing.
So how often are you auditioning?
I audition 2 times a week, roughly.
Really?
For this area, that's amazing.
2 times a week?
2 times a week. If you're in if you said that in LA, you should be auditioning 2 times a day, 2-3 times a day.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, that often?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good thing, and that's the goal. I mean, you should at least be twice a week out there auditioning. I just auditioned this last week. I didn't get it, but
the next one.
Going on to the next one, exactly.
And does the process get easier for you, more enjoyable over time?
Every audition is enjoyable. Not because of when you go in, it's the opportunity to act. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I work on it. I work on camera. I work in front of a camera. I work in front of a coach.
Yeah.
Things like that. I've done the best that I can do. Come in, enjoy, have a great audition. They didn't like you. You probably didn't fit the part. You probably didn't look the part or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you got the role, great. I mean, you just because you worked for it.
Yeah. And do you coach your actor, your mentees on that process and what to expect? Yeah, because right now I've got actually somebody reached out to me and said they want me to work as a coach, acting coach, and I said I would do it only if in the time frame that I have. Right. Very busy person. Yeah, it's easy. Be honest, it's really good to have a coach. Yeah. So when you're going in before you go on an audition or before you're doing a scene, pay somebody or have somebody that you can trust to work with and work on that. And it comes off so much better. Somebody mentioned to me, they said, I could never do that because it's like going on a job interview. Yeah. How many job interviews have you actually gone on? I mean, personally, I've been on, I think, a handful. Yeah. Think about going on a job interview 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a week. Yeah. And I was told that when I was working for the industry, how do you get past that? You do more interviews. You keep doing more and more. You do it more and more and more, yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's like public speech to a degree. It's kind of like, you're really nervous that first time and then it's slowly over time, but especially when you're doing it for something that is personal to you, because with auditioning, it's, I would imagine, always to a degree nerve-wracking, but because this is what you do, it's that much more important to you. And it's not just like, oh, I'm auditioning because it's a class. It's like it's like not a requirement. I mean, it is, but like to a different degree. Right. I think as actors, and I could speak for all of the actors, hopefully here and maybe in LA, but this is our job. This is what we do. So we depend on auditioning and getting the job. And if you don't get the job, what do you do to keep yourself going and keep that rhythm going? Yeah. And for me, it's, to sustain that enthusiasm. Yeah. It's teaching, for me, it's teaching. For me, it's coaching, teaching, or doing things on the side. We all do this. We write. We do whatever it is we can do to keep that enthusiasm up. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. Every time you walk into
into a studio or on a set, and you go, I don't care how many times I've walked in a studio or on a set, it's just like the first day for me every single time.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Well, that's beautiful because, you know, in the best case scenario, it never gets old.
Right.
Because you just feel that freshness about it, that energy, you know.
And I have to tell you a story because my dad, I don't know if he instilled this in us, but as kids, he would take us on the sets in Hollywood, you know.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing to do with acting, but he says, we're going to just go walk on the set. And I thought, I was a kid, I didn't know anything better. I said, oh sure, we're going to walk on the Paramount set. At that time, it was okay. Security was low.
Back in the good old days.
And we were walking through sets of One Life to Live. You know, those were all the soap opera type things and film things and things like that. And then we got to see a taping of, at that time, it was All in the Family. And I never saw a live taping of any TV show. And it was so on, it was so exact and so amazing.
Very mathematical.
Everything was, and they were funny. The cast was natural, funny, and very personal. And at that point, I thought, this is it for me. This is what I want to do.
And so you thought to yourself, I want to be.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, on the show, doing this. Yeah, that's so incredible.
It didn't have to be that show, but it was just like this is the atmosphere that is speaking.
Right.
You know?
So in your family, not your family, but like your dad and your mom. Are they also in the business?
They're not in the business, but my dad would. My dad had a lot of connections with people that were in the business, you know, and he's just very natural and very easygoing with people. So he just made those connections, and people thought, like when we would walk on the sets, you know, they thought we were one of the people on the shows.
Yes, it's like,
seriously,
have you been to hair and makeup yet? You're like,
My dad says, just play the role. And he would take me up to, so there would be a film in San Francisco or something, and he says, there's Cloris Leachman. He said, in San Francisco, he says, she's just sitting in the car, why don't you go up and talk to her? You know, okay. So I went up, I just started talking to her, you know, and it's just like, I think he just kind of prodded me to say, in a secret way, to say, if you really like this, just go ahead and do it.
Just go ahead and do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it, yeah.
So.
And are your own kids in the business?
No, they're not. But when my own children, when they were younger, they did commercials and they did some film work when they were little. And we took them on auditions and things like that. And one day, one of my kids said, Dad, next time we go on audition, just don't talk. I said, what? He said, don't talk. I said, okay, I won't talk. Because I have that tendency to want to talk every single time they go in an audition, and I want to be that, you know, this is what they do. They're like 5, 6, 7 years old or whatever. So we go into an audition, and I'm sitting in the room, and we're at this table, and the directors are there, and they go, so girls, have you done any work? Have you been in film before? Oh, yes. I thought, what are they saying? Oh, yes, we have. And I'm thinking, don't talk, Elon. Just let them say whatever they want to say, right?
Yeah.
And
they're inventing the narrative.
They did it. And I thought, wow, okay. I don't know, because in their heads they thought they were on a camera or on doing film or whatever. You know, they were small, little, whatever.
Yeah.
We always took them for ice cream afterwards or something like that and made it fun, right? So
yeah.
So we never made a big deal of it. So the next day they call them and says, we love your girls. Bring them on.
And you were like, alrighty then.
Okay, I said, hey guys, you got it.
They were like,
because I didn't say a word.
Right, because Dad kept his mouth shut.
Yeah.
The kids did their own work.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And was your dream for them to be in the business?
No, it wasn't. I think I wasn't that kind of a parent, but I am a photographer, so I did take some photos of one of our girls, and we submitted it to LA. I know they're going to kill me for this, but we put the LA phone number on there, the address, et cetera, because you would never be looked at in LA if you lived in Northern California.
Really?
Lived in Northern California. No, they won't.
Okay.
So I did. I took their photos. we sent them to agents, at least 5 agents in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All 5 agents called and said, we want to represent your kid.
Wow.
We'll be there in 2 days. We were there in 2 days. Being the honest people that we were, we told them, well, you live in Northern California. And they said, well, when you move here, let us know. We'd love to, represent them. But because things happen so fast in LA, they can call you in the morning, want you in the afternoon. In a way, I'm kind of glad we didn't. But my one daughter has a daughter now, just 2 years old, and she wants to get her in the business, and I think it stays in the family.
Yeah.
They're great. They perform, they sing, great at it.
Well, were you worried at all about them going through the experience of being child actors and having that possible negative lifestyle?
No, because at that point it was like we made kept everything as normal as we could. Okay. Like I said, because I knew what it was like.
So very down to earth.
I knew what it was like to audition. I knew what it was like to, if you get rejected, you start. Why did I get? Why did they not call me back, etc. Right. I didn't want to go into that realm of it. So it was always like, hey, let's go have a great day. Let's go have fun today. Yeah. You're gonna go ahead and do this. This. After that, we got this plan, and we'll do that.
So while being serious about acting, not taking it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's healthy.
I hope so.
Because I have a tendency to be too serious, and I'm like, okay, Kevin, back off. You're allowed to have fun.
Yeah, you have to have fun with it.
Yeah.
But as we were talking before, when you get into the business, and it gets to that point where you become that part of the business where you are the product of that business, you need to really, I think, as anybody, keep your head level, keep it level. And every child actor that I talk to, or everyone that's gone into the business, the worst thing that can happen is that if you get into the business and things happen overnight, you become an automatic success. All of a sudden, you're making a lot of money, etc., whatever, and it changes you. It changes you very quickly. And as a kid, I think it's really important you be a kid.
Yeah. I think that's healthy.
I do too.
And then when you're an adult, you get to be an adult.
Yeah, if you're a kid, if you want to be a kid as an adult, then go. Then do it.
Then go nuts, yeah. And what was the show that you were doing, and when did it get to the point where you felt like you were no longer an actor and you were more of a commodity?
I will say this, I think it's because of the production that we were talking to. I was in a theatrical production, and all of a sudden it became, it was more of it's a great production, but again, the production became a very main source of income for this company.
Right.
And at that point, you were very under a microscope, as to how you're performing, level of performance, audience reaction, critiques. Yeah. Critiques are daily, you know. And then if you didn't meet that really high expectation, they made sure that that you were still up. Which brings you to a point, you wonder why actors are taking so many drugs and things like that, just because
they're trying to live through it.
They're trying to live through it, and they're trying to meet that expectation, which is crazy. Look at Robin Williams. Robin Williams was amazing. Yeah. I've worked with him on a couple of films, actually.
You did?
Yeah. And
what was that like?
It was great. We were working on Jack, and so he's a kid. He was a kid. He was the kind of person that was just up there, but he was always in his head. Something was always going on inside of his head, at the time. You don't know anything that's going on, but he is absolutely amazing, and he is always on. But what people don't know is that you think that he's on, but he's rehearsing every single line and every step in his head at every moment, so that when you do talk to him, when he's in an interview, it's as if it's just coming right off the top of his head. It's all rehearsed. It's all rehearsed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot just by watching him. I've worked with Whoopi Goldberg. I watched her, and she's absolutely incredible too. But the thing that makes them incredible is that they know how to stay professional, and be professional.
And so having worked on this production, did it discourage you at all from doing something like that again?
Yeah, it's scary. It is, actually, it is scary.
Yeah.
Because I love theater. I wish it paid. This paid, and it paid well. But I'm saying that if you're in a theatrical production, which you're doing the same show every night.
Yeah.
It's just like a TV show. I was told even from one of the actresses on one of the daytime shows, you come in one day and you didn't learn your lines, that's it. You're done.
Really?
Yeah. They write you out.
Oh wow.
And she was a popular character in the show, and I thought, wow, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So I think for her, acting, when she got to that acting point in that level in her life, it's just like, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to a point in your life when you don't like something anymore, you have to reevaluate where you are in your life and go, right. It's time to make a change.
Yeah. Well, I think, it can be easy for a lot of people to, start out with the passion, and then you get so heavily engrossed in the business, because we all, I don't think about that a lot. I'm so engrossed in creating and being like, okay, this is really cool. And then I forget about the business, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a business. I have to make people money. Yeah, exactly. And I'm aware of that, but I'm just kind of like, oh, don't worry about that. I'll make you money, don't worry.
I was with a friend, and I said, we wanted to make TV show comedies for a comedy thing in LA. And we had nothing. So this is how we started. We sat in the same room together, and I'm sure he'll say this is okay, but his name was Josh. And so I'm sitting with Josh, and I said, Josh, we can make anything happen that we want. Anything. He was creative. I'm creative as far as writing goes, comedy goes, and things like that. So we started writing this thing. Yeah. I said, what's the vision, whatever. So we started writing these things, and he said, okay, boom, 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 boom. And he says, I don't know. I says, okay, I'll tell you what. We just wrote our first show, just sitting here talking with each other. Yeah. How about we cast our first show today? He says, what? I said, yeah, let's cast it. So we created the production, went to the SF casting, got authorized the same day at SF casting. We had the submissions. We had our first cast the first day for the TV show. Starting with 2 people, we got cast with the other people. Within 2 weeks, we had camera people, we had sound people, we had light people from all over, from Los Angeles to here. We had a crew of 30 people within 2 weeks. Wow. And within the 3rd week, we were starting to film our first show. Now, that's how fast things were moving. Josh is a wonderful man. But his energy is so much more than mine. But he would be up like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, writing, calling me up, and I got this other idea, I got this other, and within 2 months we had about 4 shows under our belt. We had already shot 4 shows. He was already going to LA, starting to pitch the shows in LA and things like that. Yeah. It got insanely crazy, and then the business end started coming into it, and it became really overwhelming, and I thought, okay, I got to take a step back. We're going fast, but you can make anything happen you want.
You really can, like this.
Oh, exactly.
Get the idea, reach out to the talent, and say, let's make something.
It's crazy, and it's possible.
Yeah, but what's wonderful is that doing this, it reminds me of because I oftentimes get so engrossed in my own world, in my own head, that I forget that I'm like, oh, I can reach out to Eli. It's cool.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's like because I get so wrapped up in it. I'm just like, no, this is me, and I'm like, no, reach out, come on,
And I'm glad that you are, because that's how it is.
Yeah, well, because it's important, because I remember, because I was watching you on Ben's set. Mm-hmm. And I was, because he wrote, the part that you had this gigantic monologue, and I'm like, how in the world, And then you nailed it, and I thought, okay, he has my respect. And then I remember reaching out to you for Unqualified, not knowing at all how that would turn out, but then, we got it done, and we liked it. And I knew after that, I was like, okay, he and I have got to work together again. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, but when? And then the 48-hour came up again, and I thought, okay, time to call up your buddy. You know, because it's like when you have go-to people, use them.
Right, right.
You know, and one of the hardest things for me that I learned was just finding people to work with who I like, because I was very naive going into film school, because I thought, okay, because I'm in a school where everybody wants to tell stories, by default, we're going to get together and work together. And it's like not going to happen, because personalities clash, and you're like, okay, you see it this way, I see it that way. But occasionally, you meet people, whether they're behind the camera or in front of the camera, and you're like, okay, thank you for being.
That's the magic.
Thank you
right
for
there.
being you. You know.
That is the magic.
And you know, it's kind of like I'll say to you what Angelo said to me a couple times. You know, I see us making a lot of things together, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
You know.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great, because you know there are like-minded people out there, and it takes a while. But you find them and you're like, okay, don't let them go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so beautiful, because there's so much talent out there.
Yeah.
And it's about finding it and then never letting it go.
I think the talent goes across the board. It doesn't have to be the acting, and it doesn't have to be the writing. It's everything. It is everything.
Yeah.
So the second you walk onto that set, you go, somebody set the lights up, somebody created the floors, the walls, the atmosphere, you know, to make all this happen.
And what do you love most about acting?
It's the challenge to make myself better every day.
Yeah.
I have to be better every day. I don't want to go to one of the crazy actors because most actors will just say, you know, I'm always trying to be my better self. Always trying to be a better person.
Yeah.
That's going to always be the way I am.
Yeah. And are you devoted to a certain method of acting?
Now it's changed again. I think it's pulling within. Now everything that's within inside.
Yeah.
And it's just saying, okay. Because everything is, I don't care. Acting is acting, but it's also reality.
Yeah.
You talk to a comedian will tell you they're an open book. Comedians are open books. They'll tell you everything, and you go, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny!"
Right?
That's actually true.
Yeah,
you know, that is true.
So, have you ever approached a role in the same style as, say, Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. So we'll go in there. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then you're just the character the entire time, and you don't meet Eli until the end.
Yeah. Because you get into this world, you know, that you're in.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the film I was doing, but it was just like I lost myself in my own character. That the other person I was with, he says that was really powerful, that was strong, and I thought, yeah, but I didn't realize that. Because I was so much into that character.
Right.
Who I was.
What was the character?
I was a psychotic person.
I like it.
Anyways, we were in an office, and basically it was just playing, you know, an interview, but I was really him.
Oh, wow.
And he was interviewing himself, and then it just got really intense and really, really intense, and I went into tears and I started crying, and didn't know why, but I just realized what was happening, and I thought, this is crazy.
And then when you come out of that, what is that like?
It's like, get him some water.
You're like, hello, where am I right now?
Yeah, because I think my dad called me that day, and I just I had to just regroup. I'm back into that. He says, are you having a good, are you enjoying it? He says, yeah, actually I am. I'm having a good time, and I'm getting to do what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the most important thing.
Oh my gosh, wow. It's good therapy.
Yeah, I think so.
It is.
Yeah, and with writing too, with directing, with producing, I think to a degree it's all therapy.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to exorcise something within us. Just get it out there, express it.
Because you're going to wake up every morning and you're going to ask yourself, am I good enough? And the only person that's going to tell you that is you. And if you have to be able to tell yourself that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's exhausting, but it's completely worth it.
Yeah.
You know, because I imagine that for you, you think back on everything you've done, your accomplishments, and you go, holy shit. Yo, did I really do all that?
Yeah, it's almost like a time stop, you know, for whatever it is, a warp or whatever. I go back and go, I can't, you know, I don't remember doing those things. It's so long ago, but now it's like.
Right, and then you're surprised because you were like, oh, I was really good actually.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
But you never want to get to that. I never want to get to that point where I go, oh, I was so good at that. I know.
Right.
Yeah, but at the point is same again as the actor. I mean, you always want to do better at what you're doing.
I mean, I think it's important to have like a healthy ego where you think back on it and you think, oh, I'm proud of what I did and now I want to get even better.
Yeah.
You know, that's really it for me.
Because I'm really glad we're doing this. This part is really good because I think it's just, like I said, when you're taking even an acting class, are you taking it, some people take acting classes for whatever reasons that they do.
Yeah.
But the idea of the acting class is to get you back to your own reality within your own self and say, okay, this is good for me. You know, this is really helping me a lot.
Yeah. Well, when I was in film school, I took one acting class, just one.
Yeah,
Respect for acting. It was a requirement. And what blew me away, and the funniest thing was, and it's so ridiculous, but I went in there thinking, oh, you don't have to actually act, right? Just learn about acting. I was like, yeah, you're lying to yourself. But it ended up being my favorite class that semester, first semester.
Nice.
And I loved it. And I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. Because I didn't come out of it thinking, oh, I want to be an actor. But there is a part of me that enjoys acting because the characters and worlds that I love very dearly, and I find myself just playing scenes in my mind and just kind of almost attempting to embody the emotions in the moment wherever I am, and I'm like, okay, you're doing something here, you know.
It's good stuff.
But
it is good.
But on the level that you're doing it, like I completely admire that because you're really doing what you want to be doing,
right.
Which can be the hardest thing to do because it takes so much courage to say this is what I want to do, and no one is going to stop me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of critics in your life.
I've already had a fair few. I've already had a fair few, and the one up here is the loudest.
Yeah, it is.
Because you walk away and you think, okay, I could have been a lot better, you know, but you have that conversation with yourself where you're like, okay, yes, so be better. Stop beating yourself up. You tried. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Because
it's important to have those stepping stones of learning so that, like, on your own path, you've had days where you thought, what was I thinking?
Exactly.
And then you think, no, it's okay. Tomorrow you'll be so much better because now you're aware that you messed up.
Yeah. There's always, then my son always brings me to reality. That wasn't good.
And you're like, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, he says, I don't buy it. Which I need to hear that, you know?
Right,
I need that.
You need that. You need that grounded reality where you're like, okay, is this good? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know? And it's validation, but it's also like, you know, you need that to keep your sanity where you're like, okay, so I'm not delusional. I'm actually doing pretty okay.
Yeah.
You know?
We, in our industry, we have an opportunity of auditioning for directors and casting people in Los Angeles. And I wish SAG would continue doing this because when we would go on tape and do an audition or a scene, you know, then they would give you the directions after the scene, you know, of whether it was good or not. And it's always nice when they tell you, that was great. I believed you.
Yeah.
We were very believable in this character. And that's good to hear.
Yes.
And you want that lasting memory to say with a casting person.
Yes.
So
and you will be good.
It better be.
and that will continue in my films.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing this.
It was great to be with you.
It has been a complete honor.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great.
Yes.